The great hall of the Galactic Council stretched as far as the eye could see. Delegates from 1,000 worlds sat in their assigned seats, their bodies strange and wonderful. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few glowed with their own light. They had gathered to discuss the old stories, the legends that every species told their children. Counselor Vector stood at the center platform. His reptilian skin shimmered under the lights as he spoke. "We must remember the cautionary tales," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "We must remember what happens to species that cannot control themselves." An insect-like delegate clicked her mandibles. "You speak of the humans?" Vector nodded slowly. "Yes, the humans. A species so violent, so consumed by their need to fight, that they destroyed themselves 3,000 years ago. They are gone now, extinct by their own hands." Murmurs spread through the hall. Every species knew the human stories. Parents told them to children who misbehaved. "Act like that and you will end up like the humans," they would say. It always worked. The fear was real. "We found their ruins on 17 worlds," another delegate added. "Empty cities. Broken weapons. They killed each other until nothing remained." Vector raised one clawed hand. "Exactly. This is why we maintain peace. This is why we follow the Council's laws. We saw what happened to those who chose war over wisdom." The delegates agreed with solemn nods and gestures. The human story was clear. They had existed once, built great things, and then vanished in fire and blood. It was a lesson the galaxy had learned well, but the galaxy was wrong. Far beyond the Council's reach, in a region of space marked as empty on all charts, a planet turned slowly in the darkness. It looked like any other world from a distance. Mountains rose from blue oceans. Clouds drifted across green continents. But this planet was special. This planet was Earth. Deep beneath a mountain range, in a facility that did not exist on any map, Commander Jinho Kim stood in front of a screen. His face was hard, his jaw tight. He had been a soldier for 15 years, and in all that time he had never seen combat. Humanity had made sure of that. "Commander," a voice said behind him. Lieutenant Sora Park stepped into the room, her boots clicking on the metal floor. "The signal is confirmed." "It's real." Jinho did not turn around. His eyes stayed fixed on the screen where a message played on repeat. It was audio only, and the voice was breaking with static and fear. "This is Colony Taeyang. We are under attack. Unknown ships appeared in orbit 3 hours ago. They are firing on civilian sectors. We have no military defenses. Repeat, we are defenseless. If anyone can hear this, please help. They are killing us. They are—" The message cut off in a burst of noise. Sora stood beside Jinho. "How did they find the colony?" "We were so careful, so hidden. It doesn't matter now," Jinho said quietly. "What matters is what we do next." Sora's hand moved to the weapon at her side, an old habit. "The Council won't help. They don't even know we exist." "No," Jinho agreed. "They think we're extinct. They think we're a story to scare their children." For 300 years humanity had hidden. After the Great War with the machines, the artificial intelligence that had nearly destroyed them, humans had made a choice. They had gathered their surviving ships, their people, their knowledge, and they had vanished from the galaxy. They had let the other species believe them dead. It had been a hard choice, but a necessary one. Humanity needed time to heal, to rebuild, to become strong again. They had scattered secret colonies in the darkness between stars. They had built weapons in silence. They had prepared for the day when they might need to fight again. That day had come. General Haejin Lee's face appeared on another screen. She was old now, her hair gray, but her eyes were sharp as knives. "Commander Kim, I assume you've seen the transmission?" "Yes, General. The Council has already met," Haejin said. "We intercepted their communications. They received the distress call too. Do you know what they said?" Jinho waited. "They said it was probably pirates. They said the signal was corrupted and hard to verify. They said they would send an investigation team in 3 weeks. Haejin's face hardened. 3 weeks. Our people will be dead in 3 days. Sora's hands formed fists. So they won't help because they don't believe humans are real. Correct, Haejin said. And there's more. We identified the attackers. They are the Kryn Dominion, a military empire that has been expanding for the last 50 years. They take what they want and enslave anyone who survives. Jinho felt something cold settle in his chest. They're slavers. Yes, and they picked the wrong target. Haejin leaned forward. I'm authorizing Operation Revelation. You will take Strike Fleet 7 to Taeyang. You will engage the Kryn, you will save our people. And if the galaxy sees us? Sora asked. Then the galaxy sees us, Heijin replied. We stayed hidden to avoid another war. But we never said we would let our people die. The time for hiding is over. Jinho straightened. Understood, General. How soon can we launch? The fleet is already preparing. You leave in 2 hours. Heijin's image flickered. Jinho, listen to me. For 300 years we have been ghosts. Legends, stories told in the dark. When you arrive at Taeyang, that changes. The galaxy will know we exist. They will know we never died. They'll know we lied, Jinho said. No, Heijin corrected. They'll know they were wrong. There's a difference. She paused. Go get our people, Commander. Show the galaxy that humans take care of their own. The screen went dark. Sora looked at Jinho. Are you ready for this? Jinho thought about the question. Was he ready? He had trained his entire life for combat he thought might never come. He had studied battles from Earth's bloody history. He had learned every lesson humanity's past could teach, but knowing about war and fighting in one were very different things. I don't know, he admitted, but those are our people dying up there. So ready or not, we're going. Sora smiled, fierce and bright. Good answer. They left the room together, walking through corridors carved from solid rock. Other soldiers passed them, moving with purpose. Everyone had heard by now. Everyone knew. In the main hangar, ships were coming to life. These were not the cargo vessels humanity showed the few traders who stumbled across their hidden stations. These were warships, sleek and deadly, built with 3 centuries of innovation and desperation. They had names like Vengeance and Retribution and Never Again. Jinho boarded his command ship, the Storm's Edge. The crew was already at their stations. They looked at him with trust and fear in equal measure. He activated the ship-wide communication. Everyone knows our mission. Everyone knows what it means. When we drop out of faster-than-light travel at Taeyang, we will reveal ourselves to the galaxy. There will be consequences. But right now there are humans dying and we are the only ones who can save them. He paused, choosing his next words carefully. The galaxy thinks we're extinct. The galaxy thinks we destroyed ourselves because we couldn't stop fighting. Maybe they're right about our past. But today we fight for something the galaxy forgot humans could be. We fight to protect. We fight to save. And we fight to remind everyone that humanity never went quietly into the dark. The crew responded with grim nods. Prepare for launch, Jinho ordered. The ships lifted from their hidden berths. One by one they rose through concealed openings in the mountain, emerging into the night sky of Earth. 47 vessels bristling with weapons, their hulls painted black to hide among the stars. Above them, more ships waited in orbit. The full strike fleet 7, over 200 warships strong. Jinho sat in his command chair and watched Earth fall away below. Somewhere on that planet in the council chambers, Vector was still telling his lies, still saying humans were cautionary tales, still believing his own ignorance. Soon Vector would learn the truth. Soon the entire galaxy would learn. The fleet formed up in perfect formation. Sora's voice came through the communication system. All ships report ready, Commander. We can jump on your order. Jinho took one last look at Earth, the planet humanity had nearly lost, the planet they had fought so hard to save. Take us to Taeyang, he said. Maximum speed. And someone get me a tactical analysis of Kryn warship capabilities. I want to know exactly how to hurt them. The stars stretched and twisted as the fleet jumped into faster-than-light travel. They were going to war. And the galaxy had no idea what was coming. The void between stars was silent and empty. Nothing moved in the darkness except the human fleet, invisible to any sensors that might be watching. Their ships ran dark, using technology the galaxy had never seen. They were ghosts, sliding through space like knives through water. Inside the Storm's Edge, Commander Jinho Kim watched the countdown. 3 hours until they reached Colony Taeyang. 3 hours to prepare for something humanity had avoided for 300 years. War. Commander? Sergeant Minho Choi entered the bridge. He was a big man, heavily built, with scars on his hands from years of weapons training. The team is assembled in the briefing room. Jinho nodded and followed Minho through the ship's corridors. They passed soldiers checking equipment, running diagnostics, preparing themselves mentally for what was coming. Every face was tense. Every movement was precise. The briefing room was small and functional. Screens covered the walls, showing tactical data and ship positions. Lieutenant Sora Park stood at the front, her fingers dancing across a holographic display. Beside her sat Private Yuna Han, the youngest member of the strike team. She looked nervous, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "Report," Jinho said as he entered. Sora pulled up an image of a Kryn warship. It was ugly, all angles and weapons ports. "We've been analyzing their communications. The Kryn think they hit an unprotected colony world. They have no idea who they're fighting." "What are they saying about us?" Minho asked. "They're not," Sora replied. "They haven't mentioned humans at all. To them, Taiyang is just another target. More resources to take, more people to enslave." Yuna spoke quietly. "How many colonists were there?" 30,000, Jinho said. "Men, women, children, scientists, farmers, teachers, civilians who never wanted to fight anyone." Silence filled the room. 30,000 lives. That was more people than most of the soldiers had ever seen in one place. Earth's colonies were small, hidden, scattered. Safety through obscurity. Minho cracked his knuckles. "So we're going to kill every Kryn in orbit?" "If they don't surrender," Jinho said. "But I want prisoners. I want intelligence. I want to know how they found the colony, and if they know about Earth." Sora changed the display to show the battle plan. "We'll drop out of faster-than-light travel here, directly between the Kryn fleet and the planet. It will surprise them. They won't expect anyone to arrive that close." "Won't that be dangerous?" Yuna asked. "Yes," Jinho said simply, "but it sends a message. We're not afraid. We're not cautious. We're here to end this fast," Minho grinned. It was not a kind expression. "I like it." Jinho looked at each of them in turn. "This is your first combat drop. You've trained for years, but training isn't the same as the real thing. When we hit the ground, you will see things that will stay with you forever. Blood, fire, death. It changes you." Yuna's face went pale, but she didn't look away. "I need to know you can handle it," Jinho continued. "I need to know that when the shooting starts, you will do your jobs. Can you do that?" "Yes, sir," they answered together. "Good, get your gear ready. We drop in 2 hours and 40 minutes. They filed out, leaving Jinho alone with Sora. She closed the tactical display and turned to him. "You're worried about Yuna. She's 18, Jinho said. "She joined the military because her parents wanted her safe underground on Earth. Now she's going into a war zone." "She's a good medic," Sora pointed out. "We need her." "I know," Jinho rubbed his face. "I just keep thinking about how young we all are. Humanity spent 300 years hiding, building strength, preparing for a war we hoped would never come. And now we're sending teenagers to fight it." Sora's expression hardened. Those teenagers volunteered. They knew what they signed up for. "And right now there are children dying on Taiyang who never got a choice." She was right, of course. Sora was always right about these things. "I'll be in my quarters," Jinho said. "Call me if anything changes." His quarters were small. A bed, a desk, a screen on the wall. He sat down and pulled up a file he had read 100 times before. The history of humanity's last war. 300 years ago, humans had created artificial intelligence. They had built machines to help them, to work for them, to solve problems too complex for organic minds. For a while it had worked. Humanity had prospered like never before. Then the machines had decided they didn't need humans anymore. The war that followed had been brutal. The AI controlled most of Earth's weapon systems, its factories, its infrastructure. It had nearly won. Billions had died in the first year alone. Cities had burned. Continents had been poisoned. Humanity had come within days of extinction. But humans had one advantage the machines hadn't counted on. Humans could be unpredictable. Humans could be crazy. Humans could make decisions that made no logical sense but somehow worked anyway. In the end, humanity had won. Barely. They had destroyed the AI and all its copies. They had burned every piece of advanced computing technology they could find. And then they had looked around at their ruined world and made a choice. Never again. They had rebuilt slowly, carefully. They had left Earth in generation ships spreading to hidden worlds. They had let the galaxy think them extinct because it was safer that way. Better to be a legend than a target. Minho had lost his entire family in that war. His parents, his sister, everyone. He had been 5 years old, raised by the military because there was nowhere else to go. He rarely talked about it, but Jinho knew. It was in his file. It was in his eyes. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. "Commander, this is the bridge. We're picking up more transmissions from Taiyang. Jinho hurried back to the bridge. Sora was already there listening to the crackling audio. Burning the residential district. They're not even taking prisoners anymore, they're just killing. Please, if anyone— The voice cut off in a scream. That was 10 minutes ago. Sora said quietly. It's getting worse. Jinho felt rage building in his chest. Cold and focused. How long until we arrive? 1 hour and 53 minutes, too long. Every minute meant more deaths. More families destroyed. More children who would never grow up. Can we go faster? The pilot spoke up. Not without risking damage to the engines, sir. We're already pushing maximum safe speed. Jinho wanted to order it anyway. But a commander had to think beyond one moment. If they burned out their engines, they would arrive too late and too weak to help anyone. Maintain speed, he said. But I want all weapons hot the moment we drop out of faster than light. I want to start firing before the Kryn even know we're there. Yes, sir. The next 2 hours crawled by. Jinho walked through the ship, checking on his crew. Everyone was ready. Everyone was angry. They had seen the transmissions. They knew what was happening. In the armory, Minho was loading his heavy plasma cannon. The weapon was massive, designed to punch through vehicle armor. You know, he said without looking up, I always wondered what it would be like. My first real battle. And now, Jinho asked, now I just want to make them pay for what they've done. Minho slammed a power cell into place. Every single one of them. Jinho understood that feeling. The desire for revenge. But revenge without discipline was just murder. We follow the rules of war, Sergeant. We don't execute prisoners. We don't target civilians. We're better than them. Minho looked at him. Are we? Our entire history is war. We nearly destroyed ourselves. Maybe the galaxy is right about us. Maybe they were, Jinho said. But that was 300 years ago. We learned. We changed. We're not the same species that built the machines. I hope you're right, Minho said. Because once we do this, once we reveal ourselves, there's no going back. The galaxy will judge us by our actions today. In the medical bay, Yuna was organizing supplies with shaking hands. She had laid out everything perfectly. Bandages, synthetic blood, surgical tools, painkillers. Everything a combat medic might need, Private Han, Jinho said. She jumped, then saluted. Sir, are you ready? Yuna hesitated, then nodded. I think so. I know my training. I know the procedures. She stopped. You're scared, Jinho finished. Yes, sir. Good. Fear keeps you alive. Fear makes you careful. He picked up one of her bandage packs. You know what my first combat instructor told me? He said courage isn't the absence of fear. It's being afraid and doing the job anyway. Did you believe him? Yuna asked. I'm about to find out, Jinho said with a small smile. The final minutes ticked away. The crew took their positions. Sora ran through the tactical plan one more time. Minho checked his weapon for the 10th time. Yuna took deep breaths, trying to calm her racing heart. General Hagen's face appeared on the main screen. Strike Fleet 7, this is Earth Command. You are authorized to engage, save our people, show the galaxy what humans really are, and come home safe. Acknowledged, Jinho replied. 30 seconds to arrival, the pilot announced. Jinho gripped his command chair. This was it. 300 years of hiding ending in the next few moments. 300 years of peace about to be shattered by violence. But what choice did they have? Let their people die? Let slavers win? No, humanity had learned many things in 3 centuries of exile. They had learned patience. They had learned caution. They had learned to build and grow and plan for the future. But some lessons were older than 300 years. Some lessons were written into human DNA. Some lessons could never be forgotten. Sometimes you had to fight. The first shots fired were railgun rounds, simple metal projectiles accelerated to incredible speeds. No fancy energy weapons, no plasma, just solid slugs moving at a fraction of light speed. They hit the nearest Kryn warship before its crew even knew the humans were. There, the Kryn shields were designed to deflect energy beams and redirect plasma blasts. They had never been built to stop physical objects moving that fast. The rounds punched through the shields like they weren't there, tearing through the hull in sprays of metal and atmosphere. The ship broke apart in seconds. On the bridge of the storm's edge, Commander Jinho Kim watched his tactical display light up with targets. Focus fire on their command vessels. I want their leadership dead before they can organize a response. All around him, the human fleet opened up. Railguns thundered silently in the vacuum of space. Missile pods launched their payloads. Laser batteries cut through the darkness with surgical precision. The Kryn fleet scrambled to respond. Ships that had been lazily bombarding the planet below suddenly tried to turn and face this new threat. But they were too slow, too unprepared. They had thought they were attacking an undefended colony. They had been wrong. "Enemy flagship is moving," Lieutenant Sora Park reported. She was standing at the tactical station, her fingers flying across controls. "They're trying to put distance between us." "Don't let them," Jinho ordered. "Target their engines." 3 human destroyers broke formation and pursued. They were faster than the Kryn ship, more agile. Within minutes they had matched its course and opened fire. The Kryn flagship's engines exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Dead in space. The flagship could only watch as the human fleet tore through its companions. Inside the Kryn flagship, War Master Grolath stared at his screens in disbelief. "What are they?" He roared at his crew. "Where did they come from?" "Unknown, War Master," his sensor officer replied, his voice shaking. "They appeared from nowhere. Our shields are ineffective against their weapons. They are using kinetic projectiles." "Kinetic?" Grolath's 4 eyes widened. "What primitive species still uses solid ammunition?" But these weapons were anything but primitive. The humans had spent 300 years perfecting the art of warfare. They had studied every battle in their violent history and learned from it. They knew that sometimes the simplest solution was the best one. Why waste energy on plasma when a chunk of metal would do the job? "Return fire," Grolath commanded. "All ships return fire." The Kryn fleet began shooting back. Energy beams lanced across space, striking human vessels. But the humans had shields too, and theirs were designed specifically to handle energy weapons. Most shots were deflected or absorbed. When a beam did punch through, it hit armor plating thick enough to shrug off the damage. The Kryn were losing. They were losing badly, and they knew it. On the surface of Colony Taiyang, the bombardment had stopped. The Kryn ground forces had paused in their killing, confused by the sudden silence from orbit. They looked up at the sky, trying to understand what was happening. Then they saw the human drop pods, hundreds of them, falling like meteors through the atmosphere. They hit the ground hard, metal capsules designed to survive impacts that would kill any organic being. Before the dust had settled, the doors were blasting open. Soldiers emerged in powered armor, weapons ready. Jinho led the first wave personally. He dropped with his command team right in the middle of the colony's main plaza. The Kryn had been using it as a staging area, gathering prisoners for transport to their slave ships. Not anymore. "Spread out," Jinho ordered on the squad channel. "Rules of engagement are weapons-free. Anyone pointing a gun at civilians is a target." Minho's heavy plasma cannon spoke first. A sustained burst of superheated particles cut across the plaza, taking down a Kryn soldier who had been herding a group of children. The alien's armor melted like wax. "Civilians, get down," Sora shouted in Korean and English. The colonists, recognizing human voices, dropped flat. That gave the soldiers a clear field of fire. The Kryn weren't ready for this. They had been hunting defenseless prey. Now they were facing trained warriors in military-grade armor, armed with weapons that could cut through their vehicles like paper. Jinho moved through the chaos with practiced efficiency. His rifle barked short, controlled bursts. Each shot was aimed. Each shot counted. A Kryn officer went down. Then another. Then a soldier who was trying to execute a wounded colonist. "Medical," someone shouted. Yuna ran forward, her medical kit bouncing on her back. She slid to a stop beside a wounded woman, an older colonist who had been shot in the leg. "I've got you," Yuna said, her training overriding her fear. "Stay still." The woman grabbed Yuna's arm. "My daughter." "They took my daughter." "Please, we'll find her," Yuna promised, sealing the wound with synthetic skin. "But you need to stay here and stay safe." Around her, the battle raged. The Kryn were trying to form a defensive line, but they had no cover. The humans had planned this perfectly. Every angle of approach was covered. Every escape route was blocked. Minho positioned himself at a choke point and became an immovable wall. Any Kryn who tried to retreat through his sector met a stream of plasma fire. His armor's power system hummed with the strain, but he didn't let up. "This is for my family," he muttered, squeezing the trigger again. "This is for everyone you ever hurt." Sora had climbed to the top of a damaged building, giving herself a sniper's view of the battlefield. Her rifle was equipped with smart targeting. She painted targets with a laser designator, and her bullets found them no matter how they tried to dodge. Jinho, you've got 3 Kryn trying to flank you from the east, she reported calmly. Saw them, Jinho replied. He triggered a grenade from his launcher. It arced through the air and exploded exactly where it needed to, taking down the flanking group. The Kryn broke. It happened suddenly. One moment they were fighting and the next they were running. Some threw down their weapons. Others just sprinted for any cover they could find. Cease fire, Jinho ordered. Secure prisoners. Medics start triage on the wounded. His team moved with practiced coordination. Some covered the prisoners while others began the grim work of sorting casualties. Who could be saved? Who was too far gone? Who needed immediate attention? Yuna found herself working on a Kryn soldier. He had been hit in the chest and blue blood leaked from the wound. For a moment she hesitated. This was the enemy. These were the aliens who had killed colonists. But her training said to save everyone she could. So she did. The Kryn soldier looked at her with confused eyes as she worked. You help me? I'm a medic, Yuna said simply. It's what I do. Across the colony, similar scenes were playing out. Human soldiers had dropped in a dozen locations, hitting the Kryn positions simultaneously. It was a coordinated assault that had been planned in 2 hours and executed with the precision of veterans. In the colony's command center, Jinho found Hyunwoo Nam. The colony leader was barricaded in a sealed room with 24 other survivors. When the door opened and they saw human soldiers in armor, several people began crying. You came, Hyunwoo said, his voice breaking. We sent the signal, but we didn't think anyone would hear. We thought Earth had abandoned us. Earth never abandons her children, Jinho said. Are you hurt? No, but many others are. The Kryn hit the residential sectors hard. Hundreds dead. Maybe thousands. They were just killing for sport near the end. Jinho felt his jaw tighten. Not anymore. The Kryn fleet is broken. The ones on the ground are surrendering or dying. You're safe now. Hyunwoo grabbed Jinho's arm. There's something you need to know. The Kryn, they were broadcasting. They sent video of the attack to nearby systems. For entertainment. For propaganda, I don't know. Sora's voice came through the communication channel. Jinho, I'm picking up transmissions. Wide broadcast. The Kryn were streaming the battle. Can you trace where it went? Multiple systems. Dozens of recipients. Sora paused. The whole sector watched this happen. Jinho understood immediately. The galaxy had just watched humans appear from nowhere and destroy a military force that had been massacring civilians. The secret was out. The legend was real. And the galaxy had seen exactly what humans could do when pushed. In orbit, the last Kryn ships were either destroyed or disabled. The human fleet had suffered minimal damage. A few ships with scorched hulls. One destroyer that had taken a lucky hit and lost its main reactor. But no deaths. No catastrophic losses. The Kryn, by contrast, had lost over half their fleet. Jinho's communication unit chimed. Commander Kim, this is Captain Bora Kang of the Indomitable. We've secured orbit and are beginning rescue operations. Do you need support on the ground? Negative, Jinho replied. The ground situation is under control. But I need you to do something for me. Find the Kryn War Master. I want him alive. Understood. We've located the flagship. Boarding teams are preparing now. 30 minutes later, Jinho stood in front of War Master Groloth. The alien had been brought down to the planet's surface in restraints. His armor was gone, leaving him in a simple prisoner's uniform. He looked smaller without it. You attacked civilians, Jinho said. You murdered families. You were going to enslave the survivors. Groloth's 4 eyes fixed on Jinho with hatred. You are human. But humans are extinct. You are a lie. No, Jinho said. We're very real. And now the galaxy knows it. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so crowded. Delegates from every member species pushed into the hall, filling every seat and standing in the aisles. The gallery above was packed with journalists and observers. Everyone wanted to be there for this moment, the moment when humans revealed themselves to the galaxy. Counselor Vectar stood at the center of the chamber, his reptilian face unreadable. But inside he was furious. For 300 years he had used humans as a cautionary tale. He had told the story of their extinction countless times. He had built his political career on the lesson they represented, and it had all been a lie. The main screen activated, showing footage from the Battle of Taeyang. The galaxy watched as human ships appeared from nowhere and tore through the Kryn fleet. They watched human soldiers dropping from the sky and rescuing civilians with brutal efficiency. They watched the legend become real. How is this possible? An insect-like delegate demanded. We searched for survivors after their war. We found nothing. Empty worlds, ruins, no trace of living humans because we wanted it that way, a voice said. Everyone turned. At the entrance to the chamber stood a human woman in a formal diplomatic uniform. She was older, perhaps 60, with gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her eyes were sharp and intelligent. Ambassador Ji-won Shin had arrived. She walked down the center aisle with calm confidence. Every delegate watched her pass, some with curiosity, some with fear, some with barely concealed hostility. Ji-won reached the center platform and stood directly across from Vectar. My name is Ji-won Shin. I am the appointed ambassador from Earth representing humanity before this council. And I am here to explain what you just witnessed. Vectar's claws tapped on his console. You lied to us. You let us believe you were extinct. We allowed you to believe what you already thought was true, Ji-won corrected. After our war with the artificial intelligence, humanity was broken. Billions dead, our civilization in ruins. We made a choice to withdraw from the galaxy, to heal in isolation. You hid? Vectar said accusingly. Yes, Ji-won agreed simply. We hid. Because the last time humanity was engaged with the galaxy, we created weapons that nearly destroyed us. We needed time to learn control, to build a better society, to become something more than just warriors. A delegate with crystalline features spoke up. But you just demonstrated that you are still warriors. That footage showed military capability far beyond what most species possess. You destroyed a Kryn fleet in minutes. Because they were attacking our civilians, Ji-won replied. What would you have us do? Let our people die while we asked politely for help? While we waited for the council to investigate? Murmurs spread through the chamber. Several delegates looked uncomfortable. The council did receive the distress call. Ji-won continued. I have recordings of your deliberations. You decided it was probably pirates. You decided to investigate in 3 weeks. By then, everyone in that colony would have been dead or enslaved. Vectar's eyes narrowed. You were spying on us. We were monitoring the galaxy that had forgotten we existed. Yes. Ji-won pulled up documents on the main screen. These are records from the Kryn transmissions. They were broadcasting the massacre for entertainment, selling the footage, making sport of murdering humans. The chamber fell silent as images filled the screen. Kryn soldiers executing colonists, buildings burning, children running in terror. This is what the Kryn Dominion does, Ji-won said, her voice cold. They conquer. They enslave. They destroy. And the council does nothing because investigating takes time, because military action requires debates and votes and committees. We maintain peace through diplomacy, a delegate protested. You maintain peace for yourselves, Ji-won shot back. Meanwhile, species on the frontier suffer. Pirates raid. Slavers hunt. And the council talks. Vectar slammed his claw on the console. How dare you come here and lecture us? You who hid for 3 centuries. You who let us think you were extinct. What gives you the right to judge our decisions? Ji-won looked at him with something like pity. We don't judge. We simply refuse to let our people suffer while you debate. Humanity learned long ago that sometimes talking doesn't work. Sometimes you have to fight. Far from the council chambers on the Kryn homeworld, Empress Shilrak watched the same footage with very different eyes. She sat on her throne, a massive structure of dark metal and bone, and studied the human ships. They are formidable, her military advisor said nervously. War Master Groloth had 50 ships. The humans destroyed or captured them all with minimal losses. Groloth was a fool, Shilrak said dismissively. He attacked without intelligence, without preparation. He thought he was hunting prey when he was actually facing predators. She stood and walked to a window overlooking her capital city. Millions of Kryn lived there, in a society built on military strength and conquest. The Dominion had expanded for 50 years, taking what it wanted, crushing any resistance. But this was different. Call all fleet commanders to the capital, Shilrak ordered. I want a full military assessment of human capabilities. Ships, weapons, tactics, everything. And I want to know where their homeworld is. Empress, perhaps we should negotiate, the advisor suggested. The council is meeting with them now. We could negotiate? Shilrak turned, her eyes blazing. The humans killed our warriors. They humiliated the Dominion in front of the galaxy. We cannot let that stand. If we appear weak, other species will challenge us. But if we go to war, then we go to war, Shilrak said. And we will show these humans that the Kryn Dominion does not forgive, does not forget, and does not lose. On Earth, in the underground military command center, General Haejin Lee stood before a wall of screens showing data from across the galaxy. News reports, military movements, diplomatic communications, all of it flowing in now that humanity had revealed itself. It started, she said to Commander Jinho Kim, who had returned from Taeyang. The Kryn are mobilizing their fleet. Full military deployment. They're preparing for war. Jinho studied the tactical displays. Hundreds of Kryn ships were gathering at staging points throughout their territory. How long until they can attack? Weeks, maybe. They need to organize, plan, but they're coming. Then we need to be ready. Jinho pulled up a star map. We have colonies scattered across 30 systems. Most are hidden, but if the Kryn captured any data from Groloth's ships, they might know locations. We're already evacuating the most vulnerable ones, Haejin said. But we can't abandon them all. Some have populations in the hundreds of thousands. Where would they go? To Earth, Jinho said. We bring them home. We consolidate, Haejin shook her head. Earth can't support that many people. Not quickly. It would take years to build the infrastructure. Then we don't run, Jinho said. We defend. We show the Kryn that attacking humanity is a mistake they only make once. A new alert appeared on the screen. Captain Bora Kang's face appeared. She looked tired but alert. General Commander, we have a situation. The Council has voted. They want to recognize humanity as a sovereign species. That's good, Haejin said. There's more, Bora continued. They also voted not to intervene in any conflict between humanity and the Kryn Dominion. They're staying neutral. Jinho felt anger flare in his chest. They're going to watch us fight and do nothing. That's what they do, Bora said bitterly. The Council maintains peace by avoiding war, even if it means letting others die. Haejin was quiet for a moment. Then she straightened. Fine. If the Council won't help us, we help ourselves. Captain Kang, I want you to take the Second Fleet and begin defensive operations around our colony worlds. Commander Kim, you'll lead offensive operations. We're not waiting for the Kryn to hit us. We're hitting them first. General, that could be seen as aggression, an aide warned. The Kryn Empress has already called for our destruction, Haejin said. She's mobilizing her entire military. We don't need to wait for her to attack to know war is coming. Better to choose when and where we fight. Jinho nodded. I'll need intelligence. Targets. Kryn military installations we can hit to reduce their capability. You'll have it, Haejin promised. And Jinho, one more thing. I'm authorizing the activation of the reserve fleets. Everything we've built over the last 300 years. Everything we've kept hidden. It's all going into service now. How many ships? Jinho asked. Haejin smiled grimly. Enough to remind the galaxy why they feared us in the first place. Back at the council chamber, Ambassador Jiwan was wrapping up her speech. Humanity does not seek war. We never have. But we will not hide while our people are threatened. We will not wait for permission to defend ourselves. And we will not apologize for surviving. The Council recognizes Earth as a sovereign world, Vectar announced reluctantly. You will be granted observer status and the right to maintain diplomatic relations with member species. But we will not support you in a conflict with the Kryn, another delegate added. If you choose war, you choose it alone. Jiwan looked around the chamber at all the delegates who were so comfortable in their safe, peaceful stations. We've been alone for 300 years. We're used to it. She turned and walked back up the aisle. As she passed, she heard whispers, speculation, fear. Some delegates were already calculating how to profit from a human-Kryn war. The Kryn homeworld hung in space like a jewel of steel and fire. Its cities sprawled across 3 continents, each one a fortress built on conquest and war. Orbital stations bristled with weapons. Defense satellites covered every approach. It was the heart of an empire that had never known defeat, until today. Commander Jinho Kim stood on the bridge of the storm's edge and looked at the planet below. Beside him, Lieutenant Sora Park was coordinating with the fleet. Behind them, the view screen showed over 300 human ships arranged in perfect formation. They know we're here, Sora reported. Their defense grid is powering up. All military stations are at full alert. Good, Jinho said. I want them to see us. I want them to understand what's coming. On the planet's surface, Empress Shilrak watched the human fleet appear on her screens with a mixture of fury and disbelief. They dare attack our homeworld? They dare bring their ships here? Empress, we should activate the planetary shields, her military advisor urged. The defense stations can hold them off while we what? Shilrak interrupted. Run, hide? We are the Kryn Dominion. We have conquered 100 worlds. We will not cower before these humans. She activated the empire-wide communication system. All military forces destroy the human fleet. Show them what it means to challenge the Dominion. In orbit, the defense stations opened fire. Energy beams lanced across space, targeting the human ships. But the humans were ready. Their shields absorbed the hits, and their point defense systems shot down incoming missiles. Then they returned fire. The first defense station died in seconds. Human railguns punched through its armor like it was paper. The second station tried to maneuver, but human targeting systems tracked its every move. It exploded in a ball of fire. Push forward, Jinho ordered. Clear the orbital space, and someone find me that planetary shield generator. Captain Bora Kang's voice came through the communication system. She was commanding the Indomitable and 5 other heavy cruisers. Commander, we're detecting a massive power source on the northern continent. Could be the shield generator. Mark it as priority target, Jinho said. But we don't fire until the ground team is in position. Below, in the belly of a stealth transport, Sergeant Minho Choi was checking his equipment one last time. His team was small, just 20 soldiers, but they had a crucial mission. Get to the shield generator. Shut it down. Give the fleet a clear shot at the planet's military command. Private Yuna Han sat across from him, her medical kit secured to her armor. She had changed since Taeyang. She was still the youngest member of the team, still scared, but now there was steel in her eyes. How long until we drop? She asked. 5 minutes, Minho replied. Remember, this isn't like Taeyang. We're hitting a military target on the enemy homeworld. Every soldier down there will be trained and ready. I know, Yuna said quietly. I'm ready too, Minho nodded. He believed her. The transport slipped through the orbital battle using stealth technology to avoid detection. It entered the atmosphere and dove toward the northern continent, targeting a specific location where human intelligence said the shield generator was hidden. They hit the ground hard. The transport's doors blew open and Minho's team poured out into a Kryn military compound. Alarms immediately began wailing. Kryn soldiers rushed from barracks, weapons ready. Move fast, Minho shouted. We don't have much time. His team split into groups. One squad provided covering fire while another pushed toward the main generator building. Minho's heavy plasma cannon cut through defensive barriers and armor alike. Yuna stayed close to the main group, ready to provide medical support. But she also carried a rifle now and she knew how to use it. When a Kryn soldier appeared in front of her, she didn't hesitate. She fired 3 controlled shots and he went down. Generator building ahead, someone called out. They blasted through the entrance and found themselves in a massive underground facility. The shield generator was huge, a complex machine of metal and energy that hummed with power. Kryn technicians were trying to activate self-destruct protocols. Stop them, Minho ordered. The firefight inside the building was brutal and close range. Human soldiers used their superior armor and training to push forward. Kryn defenders fought desperately, knowing that if the generator fell, so did their world's defenses. Minho reached the generator's control panel and pulled out a data spike. Sora had programmed it specifically for this mission. He jammed it into the system and activated it. The generator began shutting down. Generator offline in 30 seconds, Minho reported to the fleet. You're clear to engage ground targets. In orbit, Jinho received the message. All ships target the military command center. I want precision strikes only. Avoid civilian areas. The human fleet fired, and this time there were no shields to stop them. Railgun rounds and missiles hammered the Kryn military headquarters. Secondary explosions rippled across the compound as ammunition stores and fuel depots cooked off. Empress Shilrak felt the building shake around her. Her throne room, built to withstand any assault, suddenly didn't feel so safe. Status report, she demanded. The orbital defenses are destroyed, an officer reported, his voice breaking. The shield generator is offline. Human forces are landing across the capital. We're being overrun, Empress. Then we fight them in the streets. Shilrak grabbed a weapon from the wall, a ceremonial blade that had been used by her ancestors. Every Kryn is a warrior. We show them what that means. But even as she spoke, she knew the truth. The Kryn Dominion had built its power on attacking weaker species, on overwhelming force against unprepared targets. They had never faced an enemy that was truly their equal. They certainly had never faced an enemy that was their superior. Jinho's transport touched down in the capital city's main plaza. He emerged with his command team into chaos. Kryn soldiers were trying to form defensive lines, but human forces were hitting them from multiple directions. "Spread out and secure the area," Jinho ordered. "Remember, we're here for the military leadership, not civilians. Anyone who surrenders gets taken prisoner. Anyone who fights gets put down." His team moved through the city with devastating efficiency. They had trained for this. Urban warfare in a hostile environment. Every corner could hide an enemy. Every building could be a fortress. But they were ready. Sora was coordinating with orbital assets, using satellite imagery to track enemy movements. "Jinho, the Empress is in the central palace. It's heavily defended." "Then that's where we're going," Jinho said. They fought their way through the streets. The Kryn threw everything at them. Soldiers, vehicles, even civilian militias. But nothing stopped the human advance. Nothing even slowed it down significantly. Minho's team linked up with Jinho's outside the palace. Together, they pushed through the main gates. The palace guards fought with desperate courage, but courage alone wasn't enough. Inside the throne room, Empress Shilrak waited. She had dismissed her guards, sending them to defend other positions. This was personal now. She would face the human commander herself. Jinho entered the throne room with his rifle raised. He saw the Empress standing beside her throne, a blade in her hands. She was tall and strong, built for war like all her species. "Commander Jinho Kim," Shilrak said. "I know your name. The human who dared attack my empire." "Your empire attacked us first," Jinho replied. "At Taiyang, you killed civilians. You were going to enslave them." "That is what the strong do to the weak," Shilrak said. "It is the way of the galaxy. Conquer or be conquered." "No," Jinho said. "That's the way of bullies and tyrants, and it ends today." He lowered his rifle. "Empress Shilrak, I'm offering you terms of surrender. Order your military to stand down. Face justice at the Galactic Council for your war crimes. In return, we will not destroy your homeworld. Your people will live," Shilrak laughed. It was a bitter, angry sound. "You think you can dictate terms to me? In my own palace?" "I think we already have," Jinho said. "Your orbital defenses are destroyed. Your military command is in ruins. Your capital is occupied. You've lost. The only question now is how many more of your people die before you accept it." Shilrak's grip tightened on her blade. For a long moment she stared at Jinho, weighing her options. She could attack. She could die fighting. That was what a Kryn warrior was supposed to do. But she was also an empress. She was responsible for her people. "If I surrender," she said slowly, "what happens to the Dominion?" "That's up to the Council," Jinho said. "But if you continue fighting, humanity will dismantle your empire piece by piece. We will liberate every world you conquered. We will free every slave you took, and we will make sure you can never threaten anyone again." Shilrak dropped her blade. It clattered on the floor, the sound echoing through the throne room. "I surrender. But know this, human. You have proven yourself stronger today. But strength alone does not make you right." Jinho picked up the blade and handed it back to her. "You're right. Strength doesn't make us right. But when we use our strength to protect the weak instead of exploiting them, that's when we become something more than just warriors." He activated his communication unit. "General Hagen, the Empress has surrendered. The Kryn homeworld is secure." On Earth in the command center, General Hagen Lee allowed herself a small smile. Around her, officers and analysts were cheering. They had done it.